Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. And today I'm going to talk about one of the most iconic, celebrated authors of the 20th century, the late Ray Bradbury. Stay tuned. Okay, so Ray Bradbury is iconic. He's award-winning, and he's known as, one of America's most celebrated authors. And he's known to write science fiction. So when you think of Ray Bradbury, you think of that particular genre. But it's interesting, because this is what he has to say about his own writing. First of all, I don't write science fiction. I've only done one science fiction book, and that's Fahrenheit 451, based on reality. Science fiction is a depiction of the real. Fantasy is a depiction of the unreal. Hang on. So Martian Chronicles is not science fiction, it's fantasy. It couldn't happen, you see. So that's actually very, very interesting. That he doesn't consider himself a science fiction writer. But one thing is for sure, that when you read his stories, you get a sense of wonder, you get a sense of magic. His stories are fantastical, whether they take place on Mars, out in space, on other planets, or in small town America. You always get that sense of wonder, and sometimes menace as well, which is one reason that I'm attracted to his writing. There's always that little kind of underlying feeling of horror. And you know, he questions our place in the world, or you question it, it makes you think. And yeah, just a phenomenal author. So yeah. Some interesting facts about Ray Bradbury. When he was 12 years old, he went to a carnival where he encountered a magician called Mr. Electrico. And this magician touched him on the nose and said to him, "Live forever," with his electrified wand or sword. And from that moment on, he started writing, and he never let up from the age of 12. And it also started in him a passion for magic as well. But throughout his life, he used to give show card tricks and coin tricks to his children and his grandchildren. So yeah, a love of writing and a love of magic. Another interesting thing is he absolutely adores the holiday of Halloween. He loves Halloween to the extent that even when his kids had grown up, he would still go out trick-or-treating. He would still dress up, and he had a kind of array of different Halloween ties, and he would dress up and go trick-or-treating when his kids no longer thought it was cool. And if you look at some of the books I'm going to talk about just now, I'm going to talk about my collection. They are really strong Halloween reads, excellent for the spooky season. And finally, after his sad passing, NASA paid him tribute. A NASA landing party on Mars just named a specific area where they landed Bradbury's landing. So yeah, kind of the ultimate tribute for a legend, iconic author. Okay, now let's get to my collection. It is rather humble. 13-14 books, but I'm proud of it, and he's got a huge body of work. So let's start off with the Greentown books, which is a trilogy that he wrote, and it's kind of semi-autobiographical about a town where he actually grew up. So it's a fictional town, Greentown, and the first one is one of my favorite books, and that's Dandelion Wine. And I've spoken about this. In fact, these next two books are in my top 20 books of all time, and I've spoken about them at length. But yeah, it's a small town, and it's got a real coming-of-age vibe. It's about a young boy over the course of the summer, and he grows and he learns about life. And it's actually a collection of short stories centered around this town in summer. So it's almost like a vignette, so I hope I said that correctly. But it's beautiful. It's just magical, and his prose will blow you away. That's one of the things that is just so original and unique about Ray Bradbury. And his prose is gorgeous. It's utterly beautiful. So yeah, that is Dandelion Wine. And look at this cover. Okay, next up we got a top 10 book of all time for me. And yeah, it might seem a bit YA to some people, but that is Ray Bradbury. Something Wicked This Way Comes. I love this book. It is a perfect Halloween book. It's got spooky vibes. It's about a dark carnival that comes into town. And it's about these two boys who are born either side of midnight. And it's magical, it's beautiful, and it's very, very spooky. It's just got awesome vibes for Halloween. So I strongly recommend it. That is Something Wicked This Way Comes. Okay, next up we got perhaps Ray Bradbury's most important book, and one that I reread kind of recently this year, and that is Fahrenheit 451. And I've actually got two covers. I like this cover, but I like this particular cover a hell of a lot more. It's a lot more vintage. I love that insect. And yeah, this is a very important book about, in a futuristic dystopian society that has banned books, and the government is kind of authoritarian. I'm not going to go into the story because I've spoken about it already. And I also want to do a future video on banned books, and the banned books that I've read, not just this year, but in my lifetime. Because as you know, MJ is doing 24 banned books in 2024. So I'm going to make a special video about that. But yeah, this is a very important book. It's not my favorite book. I really enjoyed it, but I found it a little bit dry compared to his other more fantastical work. But it's still very important. It's a very good book. So yeah, that's Fahrenheit 451. Next up, a recent gift from my wife. And it's a haul that I did recently. And that is A Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. If you just look at this gorgeous cover, there's so much little intricate details. And I'm definitely going to read this Halloween. So I haven't read it yet. And I heard it's very interesting because it looks into the history. And it goes into different parts of history, of the origins of Halloween. Not sure how fictional it is or non-fiction. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. And even though it's sort of described as middle grade, YA, yeah, it looks beautiful and sounds beautiful. So it's A Halloween Tree. And another beautiful gift that I received early on in the year, and that is From the Dust Returned by Ray Bradbury. I think this is one of his more later works, and it originally was a whole lot of short fiction that was published, that he put together. And I just want to read the back quickly, because it tells us very nicely what this book is about. In the attic where the rain touched the roof softly on spring days, and where you could feel the mantle of snow outside a few inches away, on December nights 1,000-time great-grandmere existed. She did not live, nor was she eternally dead. She existed. She is a grandmother of the Elliot family, which includes mind readers, vampires, and many others, maybe. In a strange old house, they had gradually come together, mixing their arcane skills and lifestyles, falling in and out of love, and changing the world around them forever. You have never seen their like before. Now, I really enjoyed this story. It was like not his absolute best, but it's just beautiful prose as usual. And yeah, all centers around this house and this homecoming with these creatures of the night, and how they've been there for so long, but the world is changing, and that there's one young boy who's human that lives amongst them, who needs to ultimately do something about a danger that threatens them. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that is From the Dust Returns. It's a gorgeous cover as well. Okay, next up we got a collection of short stories. In fact, all the rest are short stories in publication order. And the first, I'm so grateful to have received another copy of this magnificent collection, and that is an illustrated man. You see the man in the front on the cover, and he is basically a former circus performer or circus worker, and his entire body is covered with these tattoos that were inked on by a switch, and at night time they come alive and they tell stories for anyone who's watching at night. So there's a framing network around this collection, the illustrated man, and this is a very, very strong collection. And in particular, I haven't read it for a long time, but I remember the first one. One of the first ones called The Veld. Now, being a South African, growing up on the bushveld, with the hunting lions, this story just resonated with me. But there's a lot of other very strong entries in this collection as well. So I'm looking forward to a reread sometime. Okay, another very strong and a very varied collection of short stories is The Golden Apples of the Sun by Bradbury. Now, I particularly enjoyed this because I read it quite recently, and two big standouts for me was one story called The Fruit at the Bottom of the Bowl, and it was very, very creepy about this man who commits a crime but can't seem to get away from the crime scene. It's a freaky story. I really enjoyed it. And another one was The Sound of Thunder, which is known to be one of his stronger stories. In fact, if not the strongest out of every short story he's ever written. So yeah, that is The Golden Apples of the Sun. Okay, next up we have another strong collection, and very underrated because I don't hear it spoken about very often, and that is A Day It Rained Forever. Now, it's a bizarre cover, absolutely love it. And there are some very dark stories in this, some of the darkest that I've read by him, and those are The Town Where No One Got Off, and then there is Here There Be Tigers, and Perchance to Dream. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. There's very, very few weak stories in this particular volume. It's not as good as some of the other ones I've mentioned, but still absolutely love it. And the prose is as gorgeous as ever. Very important. That is A Day It Rained Forever. Okay, unfortunately there's one collection that I did not enjoy as much. It was a very mixed bag, and I found it kind of depressing. A lot of the stories were, I just didn't get them, didn't enjoy them so much. And that was I Sing the Body Electric. And I mean, it's still a gorgeous cover, kind of right out there, but yeah, the stories just did not resonate with me. I found a lot of them very depressing, very vague, and I just couldn't get into it. But that's okay. It's bound to have a few misses every now and then. And next up we have Quicker Than the Eye. Now I still need to read this. It's got good reviews on Goodreads, so I'm looking forward to it. But yes, I know absolutely nothing about this particular book. I like the back cover as well. So I'm going to try and get to this early next year, possibly later this year, we'll have to see. But yeah, that is Quicker Than the Eye. And finally, this is not Ray Bradbury, but this is Shadow Show, which is an all-new collection of stories in celebration of Ray Bradbury. Now, just to give you an idea of some of these authors, we got Margaret Atwood, Harlan Ellison, we've got Joe Hill, we even got Robert McCammon, and a variety of other authors. I think Ramsey Campbell's in here as well. And I've dipped into it, but I haven't read enough of it yet. But yeah, I think it's kind of special. A whole lot of authors banding together to celebrate his life and his writing. So yeah, Shadow Show. Okay everyone, so that's my video for today, celebrating Ray Bradbury and my collection. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you've read any of those books by him, short story collections. What do you think? What are your favorites? What are your least favorites? I'd love to hear from you down in the dark spaces below. But yeah, until next time, keep those pages turning and take care of yourselves. Cheers.